Welcome in. This is the second cut live from Cromwell, Connecticut, live from TPC River Highlands, live in a boardroom right after playing at Media Day. Greg DuCharme is here. Greg, it's good to see you in person.
It's great.
It's good to reach over.
Yeah,
and
great to
smack
be
you.
here in person. Yeah, it's been since 2022. A long time coming.
Yeah. Michael Breed is here. It's good to see
Made
you,
the
Michael.
cut.
You made the cut.
Made the second. I mean, the first. Yeah,
One of the cuts.
I made the cut.
All the cuts have been made. You are here. You are going to allow us to talk through what we've gone through today, which was a lot. It's Media Day, but it really is about the Shamble that we played this morning.
What day? It's not media day. It's about wins and losses.
Yes.
Today I'm gutted. I got gutted.
It didn't go our way.
Would you compare it to 2022 at St. Andrews, 2023 at LACC, 2024 at Pinehurst? I mean, the feeling that you have.
This is 2000 at Pebble Beach. This is what this is. We played
and not Tiger Woods.
We played phenomenal golf, and I can't find 6 shots out there. I just can't find. I can't find 6.
This door prize is not a champion's prize for us.
No.
That
door prize is what we call a raffle that anybody could have won.
You hit the longest drive and forgot to write your name down on the thing. That's
criminal.
Yeah,
You smoked it by him by 50
I mean,
yards.
it's 2025.
it's like
we don't
doing your
have shot
homework
link.
and not turning your homework in.
Check the shot link data. Everybody knows who hit that shot.
Show the scorecard if we haven't, Mina. Which we obviously do. I'm not asking for a scorecard we don't have access to. A 58 is what we shot. We started on 11. A really touchy-feely shot to start the morning.
Terrible place to start.
We finished
95-yard shot.
95-yard
Wind
downhill,
howling right to left.
tucked right, back right flag.
We finished.
We
in
didn't hit
flurry.
the green.
No, we
We're-
didn't.
We
we're
didn't
choosing
hit the
between-
green.
We played it from beyond the green.
We chipped for birdie.
Shorts. Do you want short-sided in a bunker or nearly out of bounds over the back of a green? Take your pick.
This looks like a scorecard from the Zurich Classic last week. This is a 58 with a bogey, including 2 3-net 2s. So they're on 4, we made an eagle. They're on 10, our final hole of the day. Joe Musso poured one in. Joe Musso, by the way, is a living, breathing ad for Lab Putter because he made about 110 feet of putts today.
He golfed
Poured
his
them in.
ball.
Poured him in.
Yeah.
And he hit some good shots too.
Poured him in 58, not good for first, not good for second, not even good for the tie for second.
So that would be third. We wouldn't have been. We would have. Who knows? We would have been 4th.
They
Which
didn't
might
even,
as well have been like if you're not first, you're last.
They didn't even take the time to read to us on the leaderboard.
They didn't even acknowledge our existence.
Not even
They
notable.
gave you actually a hat and a blanket,
Cry
as,
yourself
as
to
a
sleep
as a
tonight.
courtesy.
which that's probably going to end up with Bridie.
Yes.
So you got a hat.
Which you're probably not going to wear.
No.
So really, you got nothing.
This is
You basically got stuff that you're going to
remember that time you lost?
repurpose.
Yeah.
Maybe I'll do a giveaway. Maybe we could do a giveaway. if
Sign
anybody
it.
wants
Oh,
to
there you
travel
go.
or something.
We'll give it away. We'll give it away. Look, Jake wants us into Zurich. We'll get into the Zurich maybe next year. The 58, the winning score, 58 is 12 under par. 12 under.
It was windy.
Par 70, very windy. The winning score was a 17 under 53. That's
So I'm
not-
saying I can't find 6 shots. I can find a couple.
We could have started on a different hole other than 11. So we could have got 11.
We could have thrown it on the green.
You could have.
I
So 11. Let's say you got 1 at 11.
Yeah.
You could have back.
we also made a bogey.
We
Which,
made a bogey.
you know.
We made a bogey on a par 3. I mean,
the par 3s ate our lunch.
Yeah, they did.
Look at the par 3s there. We played the par 3s in 1 over par.
That's not good enough.
But even still, find 6 shots.
No.
I can't find 6. We had 2 beagles on the par 4s. How do you do that? How do you find 6? I can't find 6.
number 5, we hit. You and I both hit great shots
Mm-hmm.
right at the flag. There was no way to get it closer.
Down, it was at least blowing 25 miles an
We
hour.
had 4 putts on a right to left putt on 8.
We
Towards
coulda had
the end
that.
of the round, if we make that, if we make the one at 5, if we don't make a bogey on 60, but we're still that's
Yeah,
still only 3.
You're halfway there. You're halfway there.
You can't
15,
find 6.
A 4 at 15 is pretty bad.
Yeah, 15 if you're watching. So the Travelers, 15 is the short drivable par 3 that goes down right to left towards the water. We played out of the front right bunker and made a 4 there.
But we were green side. We're in the bunker.
Right.
Yeah.
We didn't drive the green, but we're in the bunker. We get good bunker shots out.
Yeah.
And
yeah, it's tough to come by.
Not to toot my own horn, but hole 15.5 was my highlight.
15.5 was
Yes.
the highlight. Donation, $1,000 donation.
Yeah, so this is the floating umbrella in the lake. 85 yards, I think it was.
85.
85. So they say.
You hit it 85.
I hit it
You
85.
can't measure the hole. You don't know how close you got it to the hole because
Yeah.
you can't get out to the thing.
Right.
It's
Yeah.
You don't vote.
Right. How do they determine who's closer?
I think they do
Just
get
by
out
eye?
there.
Really?
That's why they have a number on all the golf balls. They write down your name.
So
That's
name
how they
a
know
number.
it was
So when
you,
Somebody must take a
ball number
boat. They take
29.
that boat.
or they swim.
You see the critters in there?
I wouldn't swim in there.
Not a
Yeah.
chance.
So hit it to a couple feet. They said you can make $1,000 donation anywhere you want. I said a local dog charity.
I said
Put me
Greg
on the spot.
DuCharme.
Yeah. What would you have picked?
So I'm a charity case
The course-
myself.
That's
The
what I
course
was saying.
record.
Yeah.
LLC.
Right. That's a tough call to be put on the spot.
It was
like
tough.
that
I was
right
not
away.
expecting that. Yeah.
I mean, you'd have some pretty good.
I did it
options.
last
Maybe
year.
Like Folds
won
of
a-
Honor.
Well,
Would
Met
be a good
PGA, Connecticut PGA. You can
First
donate
tee.
it to First Tee.
Oh, first tee would have been a good one. I
Yep.
didn't think about that. That would have been a good one.
You can go back, by the way. When you finish, you can go down there and tell Nathan.
That's right. I mean,
You know people.
that's true. I could figure it out, but that's okay. I trust they will put the money to a good cause.
Yeah.
Not your first time around here. A little birdie has told me that you played this as
I did.
a PGA Tour event in 1994.
94.
Okay.
94. Yeah. Yep.
Okay. And
I did not
only,
shoot 58. I
well,
did not have 2 2s on the card.
what do you remember from that day or those 2 days?
It was actually, it's interesting. My dad died of Alzheimer's. And that was the last round of golf that he saw me
No
play.
kidding.
Yep. That Friday round, I shot 71. It's the last round of golf. That's what I
Wow.
remember from that.
Oh, of course.
Just walking
That's
that,
bigger than golf.
walking that
Yeah.
hole. He took work off. I had an afternoon tee time. I made a birdie on 17 again, and it was afternoon. It was packed, and I teed off 10 in the afternoon, so I came down 17 on Friday.
Yeah.
Which you know what 17 looks like
That's
on
awesome.
Friday.
Yeah.
The place is packed, and everybody's well served.
Yeah.
And it was loud. And I hit a 6-iron in there to that right hole location, and the place went nuts on the shot. And then when I made it, it was
bonkers.
it was great.
And
on
you
my
set
way
a
to missing
record.
the cut.
Well,
I
that
did.
was a long-standing.
I set a
PGA
record.
Tour
I don't know
record.
whether it's still a record, but there was a record, the greatest differential between high and low. I shot the high score of the day. The first day I shot 88, double snowman. For those of you keeping track.
What
In fact,
pro
I
to
did
look
an
in the
interview.
camera and
I
say
did-
it.
the best part of that was my score. The guy who was walking around with the board, they
The
have
walking bear.
he just stopped putting up numbers. He had it at 10 over. He just kept doing. So I came in, and there's a guy from a local sports. He was doing sports for local. I think it was 8. Anyway, he looks at me, goes 80, and I go no, 88, and I loved every shot. And he goes 88 and loved every shot. I go, yeah. This is not what I do for a living. I'm not paying my mortgage by. And I was
Literally happy to be here.
I was looking around and I was taking in
Yeah.
the sights, and I was so far from the golf course. And I said, which is a confident thing to say after shooting 88, I said, tomorrow will be better.
I know 17 shots better.
Tomorrow will be better.
Is that still a record?
No, I think it was broken. Like, I was definitely working with you when it was broken. It was
Yeah.
like 4 or 5 years ago. It lasted for over 20 years.
Wow. Well, you've had a firsthand look and experience at golf in Connecticut, which seems to be, especially from the professional range. I mean, this tournament routinely, one of the best attended, routinely gets high remarks from players and sponsors and everything else.
Awarded many, many times.
This is a haven of golf up here.
There's a lot of things that go on in Connecticut sports. You got to remember the Whalers left.
Yeah.
You've got there used to be, when I was growing up, the Westchester Classic. That's no longer. Then we had a bunch of tournaments that would take place in and around the New York area. And now you have a Ryder Cup that's coming to Bethpage.
Yeah.
But you start looking at golf in this area, Boston, New York, Connecticut, like there's nothing. And they don't have a sports team. And this is their event. Now, you can say UConn basketball.
Yeah.
It's been really good. Women's and men's basketball has been really, really good. National championship, Gino Ariema, all that stuff. But this is a big, big deal for the state of Connecticut. And so, it's important. Brings in a lot of charitable dollars to the community around this Hartford area. It's great.
It's not a surprise that this region, and I imagine they don't like getting lumped into like you're either New York or Boston or whatever, like you're your own thing. But the population up here being so sports crazy makes sense.
And it seems to be a pretty big split
really?
between New York and New England teams.
Okay.
Right. You get some up here, you might get more Boston, but there's still some Giants fans up here.
I mean, you're probably, I would bet the Basketball Hall of Fame, which is in Massachusetts, is probably 45 minutes to an hour away. It's not far at all. And if you drive to Boston from here, you probably can get there in an hour and a half. So, if you go down to New York City, you start going down that area, it's probably, you're, depending upon traffic, 2.5, something like that. So you lean a little bit towards the Massachusetts line.
Okay. Well, listen, it's been a great host for the day and a half that I've been here, and looking forward to getting back. We saw some news broken on the golf course today, and it didn't break your guys' focus. I brought this up on the golf course, and it was brushed away.
We were questing a victory.
Well, we thought we were.
I mean, and by the way, we finished like Secretariat.
Yes.
We finished. Show that we bring that card up again.
Bring the scorecard back up.
Because look at.
Yeah.
Now we started on 11, which means we finished on
10.
Right. So if you go back from 10, we played 2, 3, 3, 3, 4. We played our last 5 holes in 5 under the par.
And we had 4 good looks on 8.
Yeah.
Which is the one we made.
I mean, look, we did what we could do. We need to do better next time.
And I guess it's a lot better.
Well, we need to find some more pops out there.
Yeah.
And we need to get somebody else to keep the score. So maybe,
someone with a little less integrity.
Okay.
Moose, I think we give it to Joe.
Moose played good.
He played great.
I think he's our MVP.
Yeah, because he hit a lot of bad shots, but he hit so many good shots that we used.
He also hit a lot of important shots.
Yes,
he
value
had to make
of the shots.
He made a huge putt over there on 10.
Yeah,
let's not look past that 3 you made there.
My
birdie
there
on
to
10
like
gets
very overlooked here.
Yeah.
And
Never even got recorded on the card because Moose makes the
you
3
freed
for
him
2.
up.
Yeah,
you freed him
and
up.
That long 2 putt that you coached him through late in the round that we needed,
On
where
the
he had a
par
pop.
5.
Yeah, where he had a pop.
No, the other one. That was the other one. That was the dog leg. That was the one where we drove it up there
chipped
close
the hybrid up
to the green and rolled it up there.
Yeah,
I got robbed
yes,
on that one.
a lot. Yeah, you hit.
That
You hit a
didn't
great
matter.
shot.
It didn't matter.
Yeah, you didn't have candy.
No, he did.
We
Par 5, the 2 putt he made from the back of 6. What is that?
The
6?
par 5,
The
6.
par 5.
Yeah. Yep.
Yes.
I mean, that's very steep.
Yeah.
And he 2 putted
Yeah,
it.
the value of those
Like
shots
a
is
champion.
Incredible.
It meant nothing
Incredible.
in the end. Devastating.
I mean, we might as well just had come up here just to do the podcast.
Well, next year, that's exactly what we'll do. The news that broke is that Colin Morikawa has split with JJ Jakovic, his caddy, longtime caddy, and is going to go full time with Joe Greiner. Let's just initial reaction. Surprising, right?
Somewhat surprising. I mean, Mark just a couple of weeks ago was talking about how great of a caddy JJ is, which I second. I mean, they've had a great run together. They have finished in second countless times. The top 5s are running rampant at this point. He's been the best player without a win on the PGA Tour for a long time.
That's the thing.
Is that maybe that's the problem?
Well, that's the fine line, right? So in terms of strokes gained since the start of 2024, it's like Scottie, Rory, Colin. Now, Scottie and Rory have a lot of hardware on the mantle. Colin
12
with nothing,
wins.
but they're playing great golf. This must be strictly because there's no wins.
I think desperate people do desperate things at desperate times.
Okay.
And I think what you have here is you have a guy who is trying to sort of break the code and get the win again. And it's got to be frustrating. As good as he's hitting the ball, he's not able to capitalize on a win. And they obviously are very good friends because of that relationship with Cal and all that stuff, right? So it just makes sense to me. And I look at it through the lens of, you know what? You might need to make a trade every once in a while. And so this is a good trade.
It also probably, if this was going to happen, it might have got sped up because of the Max Homa Joe Greiner breakup, right? If they stick together for another 6 months, Joe Greiner, just guys like Joe Greiner becoming free agents doesn't happen all the time.
No, it's a good question.
And not just a free agent, but a free agent coming off a win too.
Yeah.
Well, right. That's the big question now. JT was in a similar circumstance where he's coming down the stretch in all these tournaments, and he's right there with Matt Minister, and then all of a sudden, Joey Greiner steps in and he wins.
Right.
Is Colin saying maybe he's the answer
he's the
for me?
X-factor.
But
Well,
can
and then
Caddy
once-
make that big of a difference in
can a
3
caddy
holes?
make that big of a difference?
Look, it's sometimes you just need a change. You need to hear a different voice. Maybe you need to hear a different mindset, right? Maybe it's the preparation. Somebody sees something a little bit different. It's not uncommon for a player to be working with a coach, but then go out and see Butch and get Butch. Maybe it's a confirmation. Maybe it's a slightly different take on what they're working on, and all of a sudden it frees you up. We've seen that happen with Webb Simpson, who goes out to go work with Butch on one thing, and then boom, he wins. I don't think that it doesn't catch me off guard at this particular time. I think Colin, the frustration, you can hear it in his interviews too.
Yeah.
The frustration is evident to me that this is a guy who's going, okay, I'm doing everything I'm supposed to do and I'm not getting a win. Why is it? He's not going to change coaches. Remember, he did that already. He went to Blackburn and he came back to Dr. Rick. He's not going to do that. So what's his option? That's his option.
Well, if this doesn't work, what's the next option? What's plan C?
Well, it's going to be quite a little while before we find out if it works, because I think that he's probably going to give this at least a year or two.
Long leash.
Yeah.
And I think there would be some things in the putt-in that can change along with Greiner, right? You could have Greiner on the bag, and like he went to a mallet putter already. Could you fiddle with the grip or a different putter, a different version of the mallet putter? Those are things that he probably would also have, and on the to-do list.
Just a couple weeks away from the PGA Championship.
Yeah. Hopefully he's not doing those things now.
Maybe too much tinkering. Well, the last thing, Michael, we'll get you out of here. The Tour Championship has been a topic of conversation essentially since they went to the starting strokes model a handful of years back. And it seems like there's a lot of momentum on something changing. There was an article from Golf Week, Adam Schupak, who went and researched this, got a lot of people on the record, and talked with Kevin Kisner, talked with Adam Scott. And I actually think some of the proposals that came out of it were a bit mixed. The things that we saw on Twitter were something that could be like a no starting strokes, no match play, top 30 going down to 16 with a cut on the weekend, 8 moving on to Saturday, or I'm sorry, 8 moving on to Sunday, but only the top 4 are playing for the big prizes. But in Adam's, the thing that was, I thought, missed on social media is that in Adam's article, Kevin Kisner basically said that's not going to happen.
That's lost support.
Yeah, that is lost support. Right. So that has been making its way around social as the plan. And that is not what the article says at all. So people are just reading the headline.
There is no plan in the article.
There is no plan in the article. The last comment from Kevin Kisner is, it will be a traditional tournament with more consequence. What is a traditional tournament with more consequence? What could that be?
I mean, I think before you do all that, you got to wash the blackboard off. And you got to go, what do you want to be?
Yeah.
And the problem is that they're trying to be 2 things at once. When you start trying to be 2 things at once and you satisfy 2 things like the race to the FedEx Cup, the year-long pursuit to this thing, and then all of a sudden you get to here, and now we have a playoffs. Like it's a very challenging hurdle to jump. And I think what they got to do is they got to figure out, do I want to be A or do I want to be B? But I can't be A and B.
Right. And
so when they figure that out, then I think they'll have a clear path. But until they do that, it's going to be, this doesn't work. Okay, well, what are we going to do? I don't know. Right. It's like the guy that complains about, what happens in how you set up a boardroom. Hey, I don't like, there shouldn't be that many chairs. There shouldn't be that big of a table, whatever it is. Okay, well, what do you propose doing about it? I don't know, but this doesn't work.
Right.
So you're left in that space.
I don't like this.
My hunch and my concern is that a traditional tournament with more consequence just means a 30-player straight up stroke play event for about $50 million and more money, which is what I don't want it to be, right? Like, I don't care how much money they're playing, but I don't see another. I liked the 30 down to 16, down to 8. It gives you enough guys on television. It's a little bit different, but it's still a traditional stroke play event. I liked that, but like you said, it seems like it's lost a little bit of support.
Well, I think it depends on how many guys you have on Sunday, right? If you have 4, in my opinion, well, I'll take my opinion out of it. I could see somebody, a sponsor or TV saying, hey, I don't think 4 is enough. But if you're up in the neighborhood of 8 or 10 or 12, somewhere in there, if you cut down from 30 to 8, 10, or 12, there's probably a likelihood that some players have a chance to win. Multiple players have a chance to win. And even in a full field event come Sunday, it's not often you have more than 12 guys with a real chance to win. So I think that could be a very feasible option. And it still could be a traditional tournament.
You have any off the wall ideas you want to pitch while we're sitting here in the boardroom of?
Well, I like the idea. I honestly, I like the idea of getting down to 20. Like, I think it should go 60, 40, 20.
Okay.
And then
For the 3
playoff events. And then once you get to the 20, now all of a sudden you start to play. And I think I haven't quite hatched this out. We talked about it on our radio show. I haven't quite hatched it out, but somehow I think it ends up getting to over the weekend on Saturday and Sunday. I don't think people stop playing. I think all 20 players play through.
Got it.
But I think there's at a point where you get to the low 4 for the weekend, and the low 4 almost having their own tournament,
right?
And the other 16 are playing for 5 through. That's it.
Yeah.
And I think that there should be a consequence of performance in these leading up to rounds, and then the last couple of rounds, whether it's a match play or a stroke play. I was originally match, and then I think I kind of fall into the stroke, but I'm still not sure. But what you have to do is you have to be able to reward one person at the end of it through a playoff-like system.
Right.
So maybe one plays 4 in a stroke play or a match play, and 2 plays 3, and then there's got to be a way to do it. I just haven't hatched it out yet, but somehow it's got to be separated.
Any ideas?
One-on-one stroke play is pretty interesting.
Yeah.
You don't think about it that way, but you can do it. One idea, which we talked about also, is cumulative strokes through the playoffs.
This would he pitched this.
I love this.
Yeah.
I think
Right,
that could
Scottie
be,
Scheffler is with 930 strokes. Scottie Scheffler is your FedEx Cup champion.
yeah, he's 45 under par.
Right.
No, I think that's very unrealistic. One thing I would like to do is at the end of the regular season, FedEx Cup bonuses are paid out at the end of the regular season. So right now it's 1 through 150 are paid out. The top 30, you're paid for your finish in the Tour Championship. So Will Zalatoris a couple years ago wins in Memphis. He's like number 3 in the FedEx Cup, and he ends up 30th. He ends up with 30th place money because he got hurt. So if you pay that out at the end of the regular season, and then you have a playoff where we're no longer rewarding for the regular season, we're having a playoff. I think that opens the door to any.
Now you can do a lot of things.
You could do a lot of things.
Yeah.
You could have a traditional tournament, a 20, 30, 40 player tournament for everything, for the championship. And I think that's how we play our best tournaments, our stroke play. I think the Tour Championship should do the same thing at this point.
All right. Well, we've got ideas brewing for that. We talked a little bit of storylines. We're going to get to the Byron Nelson, but we're going to let you get out of here, Michael. We're going to say goodbye to you. Any final thoughts on an excellent day around TPC River?
It was a pleasure to spend some time with you and share some laughs. We had a great time, and though we completely got hosed in this whole thing, I will have a drive back home, and I will think about it for the majority of the drive. I will also reflect upon the humor that was shared and the camaraderie, which I think this game is just great at. And it was great to be able to spend some time with you. Greg and I get to do it all the time, but to have you and Moose there was spectacular. And I can't wait to do it again next year.
Yes.
I got to have the card next year.
You get the card, and I'll start punting
year.
my handicap months in advance, and we'll start getting some pops out.
We got to start turning in some. Yes.
We got to start.
I don't want to say it needs to be erroneous, but I do think that it needs to be padded.
That right there is Michael Breed. Very enjoyable day we've had. We are going to reset here. Mina, if you want to mute us, Greg and I will reconfigure, and we'll start talking Byron Nelson here in just a second. I think we're good. Armina has unmuted my microphone, so I think I'm getting the signal that we are good to go there. Gregors, what a day!
What a day! It was a blast.
It really was a blast.
Absolute blast.
And when we kind of pitched this idea of like, well, we're going to be in the same room together on a Tuesday, we should just pod.
We got to do it in person.
And then I was like, well, what's that? How are we going to do that? Well, Travelers came through.
Yeah.
They're great. They gave us this unbelievable boardroom all to ourselves. There's literally like 15 seats here. This place is huge. And we're going to go to work now.
Let's do it.
We're going to do our thing. Byron Nelson this week and TPC Craig Ranch back for year number 5.
Yes, this is the 5th year.
The course itself has what type of identity to you?
Well, it's very long. Okay. It's the 4th longest course that we've played on tour. But I think the identity over the last 4 years has been Birdie Fest.
Yes.
You look at these winning scores. You have 23 under for the last 2, 26 and 25 in the years that KHL won. Now, they have added some rough. So the rough's a little longer this year. It's going to get up to just above 3 inches. But it's ryegrass instead of Bermuda.
Yes.
So, I mean, I don't know if that's more difficult, maybe a wash. They're a little narrower. I think of them as being really wide fairways. This year, they're 25 to 28 yards wide,
right.
Maybe a little narrower. It could make things a little more difficult.
KH Lee, twice a winner. Jason Day, Taylor Pendrith.
Yep. Those are the 3.
Any through lines? They're kind of different guys.
Different guys. They did it in some different ways, too. I mean, Pendrith did it off the tee primarily. He was 6th off the tee. He was 38th approaching the green. He was 45th in proximity to the hole.
Does that make you think that, like, aside of the fact we'll get to like Scottie Scheffler is a massive favorite to win this golf tournament, that there are a lot of guys who could win this?
Yes, I think so. Because I wouldn't consider KH Lee a long hitter. Jason Day and Taylor Pendrith probably fit that category.
I love your cheat sheet, by the way.
Yep, I got some of these.
The handwritten cheat sheet.
Handwritten. Yeah, I write them out every week.
Yeah.
It helps me remember. So these guys, they all hit 54 or more greens in the week that they won. KH Lee hit 58 greens in 2020.
Almost 66.
Yeah.
Which is what Corey Connors was supposed to do.
He was supposed to. He didn't. Now, there were a lot of really good approach players. Except for Pendrith last year, they were all top 8 in strokes gained approach. So I still think that's important. Another interesting fact on my cheat sheet here, all 4 winners made exactly 3 bogeys for the week.
Oh,
which is just interesting. Yeah, 3. You think about it. You have a course with minimal rough. This is the last couple of years. Right. Minimal penalty for missing the fairway. Driver heavy usage. They hit an extremely high percentage of greens. it's like it's in the top 10 easiest greens to hit on tour.
Yeah, they're huge.
And if you miss them, it's some of the easiest scrambling, some of the easiest putting. It's just 7,500 yards. So it's, you can avoid bogeys pretty easily.
Right.
I'm curious if this year it's a little more challenging.
There are over 1,000, maybe even over 1,100 people who are watching this right now. If you are, make sure you're subscribed on YouTube. If you want to support, a like goes a long way. A review on Apple Podcasts or Spotify. If you want to support financially, we have a Patreon for some merch and also some access to questions and things like that. So your support goes a long way because I want to do more stuff like this.
Yes.
Right? I want to get together in person. I want to figure out a reason, an excuse to do this, to go to a golf course. We're doing a little bit of early reconnaissance on TPC River Highlands, and we can talk to each other face to face.
We need to do it. We need to play more golf together. First, more golf in general, more golf together. And doing this live, whether it's at a tournament or on a recon mission like this, I think it definitely adds a cool element.
Yeah. So this is one glimpse into what we want the future to look like on our podcast. This is ours now.
Yes.
We own this now.
Right.
This is everybody's pod now.
Yeah.
So we're gonna do it the way we want to do it, and this is part of the way we want to do it.
And I think it could be, now you start getting into having conversations with players face to face, right? Not just our opinion on them, but what they actually say, whether that's an interview or just a little bit of our own journalism. There's a lot we could get done.
The betting board, which is obviously a reflection of the strength of field, is incredibly top heavy.
Yeah.
Scottie Scheffler, 2.5 to 1, 2.8 to 1, depending on where you are looking. We were talking about this a little bit earlier. I could not really find another instance in the last 6 or 7 years, which is how in my database, of a full field event where you have a favorite this short. Yes, of course, Tour Championship. Yes, of course, Hero World Challenge, or I think even the Olympics. Scottie was pretty short at the Olympics, but this is a full field event with a cut.
Yeah,
That's
I know.
wild.
It's crazy. But guys don't perform as consistently as Scottie. I mean, you look at what he's done this year, Rick, in a down year. He's still second in scoring average. He leads the tour in bogey avoidance. He's first in scrambling.
Yeah.
He's second in tee to green. He's sixth off the tee. He's fourth in approach. He's second in proximity, right? His iron play is not as sharp as it was last year. He just said that at media day.
We had a discussion with him today.
Right.
Maybe not personally, but yes, he was here for media day. He zoomed in. He answered some questions. He talked about the state of his game. He talked about the fact that he hadn't won in 2025. He gave us, it's the process, and I'm going through and all that stuff. But it's by no means been bad golf. It's actually been great golf.
Yes, by any standard other than, he won 9 times last year.
Right, which he will always be compared to himself.
Yep. And he can't win 0 times this year and call it a good year, but he has played great golf. And that's why I think that you see the number at the top of the board, the betting board. That's why I think it sits where it sits.
What would the number be that how many wins could he have and it still be a disappointment? 2?
Yes. And just to be fair, last year, Rory McIlroy won twice. Now, one was...
And we crucified him. No,
ripped him. Well, on Sirius, I gave him a C, which I wanted to give him an F. But the reason is all Rory needed to do was win the Masters.
Yeah.
So I gave him a C, and if you look back through his history, that's very average. 2 wins for Rory is average. It's incredible what his average is. Scottie's kind of in that category. 3 wins, I'm never going to complain about. 2,
in this era, 3, no matter what they are.
2 from here on out. The events that Scottie will be playing from here on out, 2 is probably it's probably C+.
Scottie Scheffler, Jordan Spieth. That's the drop off. That's the drop off in this field. About 2.5 to 1, 18 to 1, or 20 to 1, depending on where you're looking. Obviously, you get the Texas narrative around both of those guys, but Jordan Spieth's 2025. Jordan Spieth could do. You always see that thing online, the meme online. It's like, he has a chance to do the funniest thing. Jordan Spieth has a chance to do the funniest thing and just complete the career Grand Slam at the next major championship that Rory does, and just do it back to back. But I mean, I always ask you, what is the state of the union on Jordan Spieth?
I would keep wanting to say, Rick, that things are getting better.
Is that true? Or you
I
just
want to.
say that?
I feel when I watch him like this is close, but it's been 4 weeks in a row now where it's been close. Like, am I still hanging on to his performance in Phoenix with his irons?
Right.
Like he's getting there. I do think things are better for Jordan this year. He ranks, I don't have numbers in front of me, but he's in the 50. He's like 56th off the tee, 61st approaching the green. He's in that range around the green, and putting's it's a little better than average on the PGA Tour. It's a little better than average. Can that guy win a PGA championship? He's a long way off from where he was in 17 and 15, the 2 other years he won his majors.
Jordan Spieth, Sungjae Im are basically the next shortest odds after Scottie Scheffler. We do have a grid for this week. We've got a grid. We've got Greg's golfer of the week. We've got 10K and 9K and all the tiers to go through. We are going to do that. I want to give a shout out again to Travelers for doing this. Also, Armina has done she does a phenomenal job every week. I was just feeding her scores while we were on the golf course today, and she was making the scorecard. She is running the show completely herself. I have no control over anything, and she's doing a great job.
She always does.
She always does.
Really, the secret weapon of the Second Cut podcast is Armina.
The secret weapon of the Second Cut.
Because we get to do this, and we don't have it's really difficult to put in to have a producer to do all the things and make the graphics and make them good and make it feel real. Create the intro. She's doing an unbelievable, more than I thought she was capable of. Yeah. No offense, Armina.
No offense, Armina. We thought you were capable of much less, but you have exceeded our expectations.
You really have
in a big way. Well, let's see the grid. Now I have not seen this grid, so let's see it. Okay, here we go. So we've got, if you've never seen this before, we've got our matchup, our finishing position, and 2 outright winners. I'm going to start with the winners, Greg, because we have each done something, and I rarely do this. But Scottie Scheffler found both of our outright cards here. That implies he's going to win this golf tournament like 30% of the time, and I'm not even sure it's that far off. He has been, and we kind of talked about it, much better than people say. And I also think that like this golf course, a lot of these guys can make a lot of birdies, but it is about time that Scottie snaps off and wins this thing.
That's why he's on my card. Well, I'm tired of. I mean, we've hit an outright every week. On the
we have.
Podcast,
we have,
which is incredible. And I wanted to make sure, without knowing what you put in there, I wanted to make sure
that one of us had Scottie.
Right?
Yeah.
So that's why he's in there. But even from an odds perspective, it is about time. From the time he switched to the mallet putter last year to the end of the year, he won 9 events in 16. 9 of 16. All right. So, Joe, I won't either. Okay. I won't either.
The moose is loose.
He won more than half the time.
Right.
If he was at 3-1 every week, you bet him every week, you made money.
Yeah, it's true.
I don't think we're far off from another run like that. We've gotten 0 so far this year. It's got the table has to turn. He's playing well enough to do it.
Would you prefer this was a harder golf course? Because, John Rahm's infamous, like, this is a BS putting contest or whatever, right? Yeah. Like this, like 27 under par, whatever the final score is going to be, is probably not great for Scottie, but I also don't think it really matters.
No, it worries me. It does worry me. And like, if he goes and plays the American Express, I typically don't put him
won the American Express, right?
John Rahm. Not Scottie.
Scottie hasn't won the American Express?
No.
John Rahm won the American Express.
Rahm.
That's what I'm thinking of.
Yep. Okay. So, like, he's a great example. They can do it. He's really good.
Yeah.
And it feels like this is it feels like it's going to happen this week for him.
There is a stout without market, and they actually, I saw, at least on DraftKings, the without market was not just Scottie. It was without Scottie, Spieth, Sungjae, and somebody else, because Siwoo Kim was the favorite in that market.
Okay.
I did not take that market, but he was 20-1. If you're interested in that, I wouldn't beat you up for it. I do have Siwoo Kim on my card here, Greg, and that is 30-1 for a guy who has immense upside, who, when we saw him at Harbor Town, was a world beater for 3 rounds.
Yep.
Now, things can go sideways very quickly for Siwoo. But I think that's part of that. Like that's part of it. If things couldn't go sideways, he wouldn't be 30-1. He'd be 12-1. But
he was going long putter.
Yeah, and he's got ties to Dallas.
Yeah,
and he's got some good finishes here.
Yeah,
and I just like. I think this is an approach plus putting week, like those two high upside stats. He can get scorching hot in both of them.
Yeah, which I think is really interesting, especially for an outright.
Right. He's just as likely to miss the cut.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Or maybe it's more likely to miss the cut than he is to win the golf tournament. But I don't care about finishing positions 2 through 132.
Right.
They're all the same to me.
Yep. And he could put together 14 strokes gained total week.
Oh my God.
In an instant.
Yeah, exactly. You went with Jake Knapp.
I feel very similar about
I agree. I completely agree.
Are there comparisons? Was Mexico in my mind with the golf course like this? Yeah, a little bit. A long golf course that's driver heavy, a lot of longer irons into greens. I think that benefits Jake Knapp in a big way. His putting has been phenomenal. And when his iron play compared to a lot of the other guys that I like this week has been a little more sporadic.
Yeah.
But when it's good, it's really good. Which is why he's on this card.
I don't know how we would ever measure this, but if you could measure like raw talent.
If you could define.
If I could define and then measure raw talent. Yeah, because I guess Scottie Scheffler's got a lot of raw talent.
Yeah.
Raw talent just means like you're really, really good, but also sometimes you stink.
It means you hit it. It means you hit it far.
Yeah.
That's great.
Jake Knapp oozes raw talent.
Yes. But he's got a great short game too.
Yeah.
It's fun to watch. He played with, speaking of raw talent, Frankie Sappa last week.
That was team raw talent.
Yes. And they came in third. So he's been a lot closer.
Agreed.
Than it seems. And I think at 55, you could consider him in a without Scottie Scheffler market too. Probably get a good number.
Speaking of getting closer, both your matchup and your finishing position are targeted on the same guy. And I agree with this. It's Davis Riley. I'll leave you to describe what those wagers are, but he has really started to put the results together. The advanced metrics are getting stronger.
Yes.
It's coming. It's coming.
Yes. You saw he and Nick Hardy played pretty well at the Zurich.
Mm-hmm.
You saw he played some pretty good golf at the Masters too.
Yes.
So I like what Davis Riley's been doing. He's no longer lost. There's a period of time where he disappears. He's lost. He's coming in last in no cut events and missing every cut. That's over. And now he's really competing. So when I saw him against Matt Kuchar, who's I think on the tail end of his career, even though Kuch has a great record here, the fact that Davis Riley is the dog against Kuchar, at even money, I had to take it.
And then the top 20 is plus 350. So we've got, the finishing position market for me this week is kind of where you make your hay.
Yeah.
Anytime Scottie Scheffler's in a field, there's just a chance he runs away with it.
Yeah.
And the finishing position market, like you're just trying to say, okay, Davis Riley plus 350, the market is saying he's probably going to finish somewhere between 40 and 50. I think more highly of him. I think he's going to finish inside the top 20. I'm getting longer odds on
and you got it at plus 350.
Yeah.
It's Davis Riley against himself. So I believe if Davis Riley plays to his ability, or even close to that, he'll be inside the top 20, and that's probably conservative. Like I wouldn't be surprised if this was I can't believe you only had him at the top 20. Right. You could have gotten way more.
When he finishes T3.
Yeah, and I could also see a T49 if he doesn't, but that's up to him. But with his ability and his recent performance, it says that top 20 is the right number for me.
Top 20 is where I went as well, plus 260. Ryo Hisatsune, and he has just been putting the finishing. I mean, he's been great. He's been piling up top 25 finishes. The metrics are coming around. He played well. How much do you care, good, bad, or indifferent, about what guys did at the Zurich last week?
It totally depends. It totally depends. I know that's a terrible answer, but it depends on a few things. One, I'm not looking at it by itself. Okay. So like Jake Knapp had some really good finishes, couple bad ones, great finish at the Zurich. Okay, he's on track. Like that.
That's just part of the.
Yes. Not ignored, but I'm not building a case. I'm not going Frankie Stappen this week with just that.
Come on.
In a team event.
Yeah.
Right. But Hisatsune, he played with Takumi Kanaya.
That's right. They played well.
They played well. They had a terrible
Sunday.
Yeah. But I think that Rio is stronger as a general player. He's on my list too, because I think in 3 of his last 4 or 2 of his last 4 events are top 5 finishes.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah.
Right.
He's
been really, really good.
Legit
All
upside.
areas of the game too.
Benyon has not played a ton in April, or I think he played like twice in April. Even money over Sungjae Im. Sungjae continues to struggle with the irons, which I always think is an issue, especially at a venue where you're going to have to give yourself a ton of opportunities to make those putts. Benyon should be able to use the weapon, which is the driver around here. He's got some decent finishes as well. I just think he's like, we just haven't seen a lot of him.
No.
Kind of flying under the radar.
I have on my cheat sheet here, I wrote down Benyon.
Oh, and then you crossed him out.
Yes, I'll tell you why.
That makes me feel horrible.
No, it shouldn't. Because you found the perfect place to play him.
Okay.
All right. I crossed him out because I don't trust his putting. So as I'm looking at my course data, I'm like, all right, so we're hitting a lot of long irons into greens. Someone who drives the ball great. Okay, this has been on, this has been on, this has been on. But the proximity here is hard. It's hard to hit it close here.
Right.
But you still got to make 25 birdies. So, okay, well, you got to putt. I got to have some putting form. You know, Benyon has no putting form.
Well, he stinks at putting.
He stinks at putting. So that's why in the 9K range, I'm not going to go there. I don't think that's a smart play in DFS. But against one guy who's been struggling with irons the way Sungjae has,
you have a cross, or you crossed out Benyon. This is a question mark.
yeah,
we'll get there in a second.
yeah,
but that's just like what is it?
Initial notes is I'm not 100% sure.
Okay.
See, this is a star.
Star.
That's like yes, definitely.
Okay. Well, that is a good segue to what is coming next, because now we enter what like the DFS board, which gives us an opportunity to talk about more golfers across the entirety of the betting board. And I ask you every week to give me your golfer of the week, and this is someone that is just like you factored in everything, and I think I phrase it as like you cannot live without him.
Yep.
That golfer is
Jake Knapp.
Boom.
Knapp. I know it looks it kind of looked on the board like Davis Riley.
Yeah.
That was more value. Jake Knapp is my golfer of the week. I love his length. I love what he's done with his putting. I mean, it's 5 of the last 6 events he's gained strokes putting. At least a stroke putting, really significant stuff. So you combine that with the course style. This is Jake Knapp here is like Cam Davis at Detroit. You know, that's how I'm viewing this. I think it's a perfect fit, and his game seems to be informed to warrant golfer of the week.
Jake Knapp, golfer of the week, GOTW, the Gotterup.
Tough one to say.
That's a tough one. We'll have to come up with a better acronym than that. The 10K range, there are only 3 golfers in it. There are Scottie Scheffler, Jordan Spieth, and Sungjae Im on DraftKings. And to no one's surprise, you have settled on Scottie Scheffler here. And that's an outrageous graphic.
It's fantastic.
I've not seen any of these graphics in advance, by the way. I've been on the road. That is perfect. Hilarious.
It's shock. Right, you can't believe that it's Scottie Scheffler.
He's actually 13,300, I believe.
Yeah, 13,300,
which is definitely on the higher end of things. But like we said, Greg, in terms of the odds market, it's we're in uncharted territory. And in fantasy and in DFS, he doesn't have to win.
No,
he can still pile up a lot of points and not burn you.
And I think you can still build a really strong lineup around it. I think in the 7K range, there's some great value. In the 6K as well. So you can, and also because it's a birdie fest, like the things you worry about with Scottie in a birdie fest, you're worried less about down in the 6K range.
Because so like if you started, I think a lot of lineups are probably going to start Scottie and then someone in that like $9,200 range, but there's a lot of good guys in the 8K range. So if you started like Scottie,
Jake Knapp,
you would still have $7,100 or something like that for every golfer after that. So it is a little bit, you're right. It is in this type of contest or event where all of these guys can make 30 birdies.
Yes.
It is a lot easier to pick out your favorites in the 6s and 7s.
Yeah. Well, they have a real chance of outperforming their typical, like that's what KH Lee is. He didn't come into any of these events as a superstar, but he fit the course really well and won back to back. But it doesn't make any sense from a statistical standpoint. So that's available to you in the 6 and 7K range.
Oh, you've got a taker for the blanket.
It's yours.
And I think it's going to be
That's
easy
a winner
for that to happen.
Yep.
Yes.
I'll get that in the mail right away.
Yes. Postage is expensive, but we'll cover it here at the second cut. All right. The 9K range. Now, you did end up settling, crossed his name off, but I believe Benyon, I'm going to sneeze, is on this graphic. And who else do we have, Mina?
We got Steven Jaeger. God bless you.
Sorry.
There's nothing
live television. Yeah. I can't even mute myself. I mute you too.
Yep.
Sorry.
Steven Jaeger and Mackenzie Hughes.
Okay, got it.
All right. So I don't want Ben on here.
Okay, you're out on Ben on.
But I like him in the matchup.
Okay.
So Steven Jaeger, again, this is like a Jake Knapp, a course fit kind of play. He does really well on these courses where there's limited penalty off the tee. It's driver heavy, and there's a lot of long iron approaches. Okay. This is Torrey Pines. This is Houston. This is Mexico. Venues like
He's been great at all those.
He's been great at all those. I think this fits the mold. So I have Steven Jaeger in there. Mackenzie Hughes.
Yeah, this is a little. So actually,
it doesn't fit.
It doesn't fit, and even but it was one of those moments I had on Monday morning when I saw the odds and I saw that he was like the 9th shortest odds or 12th short, and I was like, wow, Vegas is pretty high on Mackenzie Hughes. Like, what am I missing here? So what is the deep dive on Mackenzie Hughes?
Yeah, it's well, if you go over to rickrungood.com,
which you should,
you can see in the last 3 weeks in a row, Mackenzie Hughes has gained strokes in every single category.
Wow.
For 3 in a row. Now, 2 is an indicator. We love 2. You see 2 in a row, it's a big time indicator. Now we're seeing 3 in a row. And the putt-in really, it's kind of he's barely gaining.
And
there's a lot more juice to squeeze.
His superpower.
Yeah. Yes. So he's hitting it well. He comes into a place like this that doesn't necessarily fit his game. There's always shorter hitters on the leaderboard, even at a bomber.
Well, we talked about it. There are other ways to get it done.
Yes.
It's not strictly bombing.
Plenty. So I think he's really hard to ignore. With he came in 3rd place in his last start. Right. He's got back-to-back top 10s and 3 straight with gaining all the way across the board.
Wow.
I can't ignore it.
Well, ignore it no longer because Mackenzie Hughes and Steven Jaeger are the options in the 9K range. The 8K range, that is where Jake Knapp resides.
Yeah.
We've talked enough about him. We could talk about the others. I think that there are some good options. Jacob Bridgman is a good one, but the one that you have here, Ryan Gerard.
Yeah.
My guy. He is feeling it right now.
The real deal.
Yeah.
His great play has continued. He had a great week last week with Danny Walker.
Yep.
Which you and I were talking about. You had something in your newsletter.
I did, and I think I bet them top 10 for last week. I can't remember what they finished, but I was
12.
I was pretty high on those two. Yep.
Yeah, pretty close on them. So they made a great team, but Ryan Gerard really carries the torch. His putting has been sensational. His approach play has been sensational. You know, in this field, over the last 36 rounds, he's 2nd in strokes gained total behind Scottie Scheffler.
In the last 100 rounds, which is basically a year, he's 2nd behind Scottie Scheffler.
Yes.
Now, only half of them are PGA Tour rounds and half of them are Korn Ferry rounds.
Yeah.
But he is gaining a stroke per round on any tour that he plays on in the last in a year. That's a huge sample size.
Yeah, it's not a fluke.
Right.
Right. But so looking at last 36, not only is he 2nd total, he's 11th ball striking, 10th putt in. That combination is, and he's 8th approaching the green. So that driver putter combo is really working right now for him.
He's been awesome. And then Harry Hall
answered the question.
Harry Hall answered the question, which
Yes.
was a question mark on yours. So the question was answered in the affirmative. How did he do that?
In his last measured event, he gained 6.8 strokes approaching the green.
Wow.
Okay. Now it had been pretty bad before that, but before that, it was getting a lot better.
Right. He got super hot, was contending constantly, slumped a little bit, now coming out of it.
Seemingly coming out of it. Now, even if he doesn't, he makes a ton of putts. As a result, he makes a ton of birdies.
Yes.
I mean, he's making like 4.48 birdies per round or something in that neighborhood. It's a very high number. His strokes, his scoring average, if you look at, there's adjusted scoring average and actual scoring average. His actual scoring average is very, very good, which signals to me that in these events where, he plays really well on easier golf courses, birdie fests are great for him. He leads the tour in par 4 birdie or better percentage. There are just these little metrics that say birdie fest, Harry Hall. A lot of it has to do with his putting, and I think this is a moment where his iron play could really be catching up.
Might be answering the question for me right now. The 7Ks, Davis Riley is here. We talked enough about him. The other two I'm very interested in. So Lee Hodges, let's start there. Missed a lot of time in 2025. He had that rib injury, came right back, has played a little bit better, missed a couple of cuts, but I assume there is the putting you like from Lee Hodges.
Yeah.
Great putter.
Yeah.
What else is it about Lee?
Yeah, it's been solid ball striking. It's been consistent performance. And the putting is really the thing that sends him over the edge for a possibility. Like, he's not the longest. He's not the shortest either. He doesn't, but he doesn't pound it. But he could keep up with Ben Coles, who lost in a playoff last year, for instance. So I think his game's really well rounded right now, and his form looks great.
What I like about the trio of names that you have up here is there are like 3 different ways that these guys could get to the top of the leaderboard, right? Yeah. So Chris Gotterup is the third one here. Davis Riley, I'm skipping over because we talked about him a lot. Chris Gotterup would be another type of, that would be the Taylor Pendrith mold, right?
Yes. Now he's been playing some really good golf lately.
He's laying the breadcrumbs.
Yes. Now it's a short window, but it's a
short window, and one of them includes the Zurich.
Yeah.
But it is still, I agree, it is still positive.
He's not losing his ball.
Yeah.
Like he's one of those guys that's way up in the rankings every year. Well, last year when he first came out, way up in the rankings in distance and ball speed and club head speed, but his driving accuracy is like 47%.
Yeah.
Which there seems to be this mark where the Rorys and the Finaus and the really long hitters, they're in the 58% of the fairways is like the bottom end.
Yeah.
If you're there, you're driving it great.
Right.
He's well below that.
Yes.
So it's like, this is bad. You can be the longest player and lose strokes to the field off the tee. Bad. He's not doing that anymore. So he's got the ball in play. His iron play seems to be creeping a little better. He's making he's competing now.
Right.
And now we get to a golf course like this that I think he could really separate himself with his driver because his length is so exceptional.
He has an elite talent with that driver. It's nice to see the rest of his game is rounding back into form. Finally, the 6K range. This is the bottom of the barrel. This is the recipe for success. I see 2 names here. I'll start with Danny Walker because we've already mentioned him. Played with Ryan Gerard last week. What is it about Danny Walker that stood out to you in the 6K range?
Well, I like what I saw last week. And going back to what led me to Ryan Gerard and Danny Walker this week, Danny Walker has the ability to put together a great iron play week, a great putting week. He's done it in every category. Great short game week, great approach. They just haven't all lined up yet. And there's always a chance that it does line up. And I think that ability is within him. And perhaps there's a little confidence that comes from what we saw at the Zurich with Ryan Gerard.
And then Nate Lashley makes this list, and I got to admit, has not been on my radar.
No.
What am I missing?
Wasn't on my radar at all. We got to take a look at some of his statistics because they're getting a whole lot better. I think he's made like 5 cuts in a row.
Okay.
And his performances in the advanced metrics I looked at it yesterday for the very first time in a long time, and I was really blown away. I was taken aback by it. And I think too, Rocket Mortgage Classic, he won that a couple years ago in a birdie fest. He's had the ability to pop up in some of these events with lower scores. And I'm really impressed with the well-roundedness of his game over the last, I think it's like 3 or 4 weeks, if I'm remembering the data I was looking at yesterday. So it's enough to say, hey, he's trending in the right direction. And I think there's some real value there. Maybe these 2 guys I thought were the best value in the 6K range.
Yeah, there's we talked about the drop off from even golfer 1 to golfer 2. The drop off gets a lot deeper, but like you said, there's going to be some weird names in the mix this week.
Yeah, but I also think like 7K, you also have Sammy Valimaki in the mix.
He's been awesome.
He's been maybe the hottest player on tour, and it's a driver putter combo. There's some guys in the 7K range that I think are legitimate contenders. 6K, a little harder to find.
A little bit harder to find. We've had a great day, Greg.
It's banner day.
Banner day. Hopefully we can do all of this more frequently. The playing together. I've got videos. I'll post it. I've got some good shots of our swings and some putts that have that went in. We shot a 58, got freaking lit.
What was the best shot you hit all day? Probably 10.
Yeah, I liked the approach I hit onto 10 and then making the putt. Now we didn't use the birdie because Moose made eagle, which is great. But yeah, finishing like that, I was getting a little tired. It was nice. It was a nice finish. But yeah, I thought I hit a couple of good drives and I hit a 3-wood on a par 5 that I really love.
Yeah.
Yes.
You roasted that one.
Yes.
Right into the fairway too.
Yeah, it was good. Yeah. So Joseph Bosa, we're doing this in person. This is like what we want to do. We want to do cool stuff from different places. Again, support comes in a lot of different ways. You can support the Patreon. That's great. If you want to give us money in return for merch and sweet stuff and Greg to break down your golf swing, like that is all out there to you. If you want to support with 5-star rating and review, great. If you want to retweet this, if you want to subscribe, anything goes a long way as we try to build this up. And we are 3 weeks into this.
It's still brand new.
I believe the response has been very positive. There are still a lot of people who are like, oh, you guys are back? Yeah, we're back.
We're here.
We're doing it.
We're back. And hopefully things like this help spread the word a little bit more.
Yes.
So maybe you see things from a little different perspective and we get more of our friends involved. But it has been very inspiring.
It has been.
I look forward to doing this because you all have done such a great job supporting and commenting and liking and getting involved, and you make us want to do it more.
I think you were one of the main driving forces for us doing this again. Not only were you like, let's do it, like supportive, but also the amount of people who were like, I miss Greg. Greg is the best. Like I could
not believe that. It was really surprising. It was surprising to me.
Yeah, it was surprising to get that level of feedback from all of us.
I just kind of thought that this whole thing was over.
Yeah.
When our last venture was ending until all that positive feedback. It's like we really have something here.
Yeah. With
the work that Mina does, it's something that's it's still professional, if not more professional than ever before, and it's a real thing that we take very seriously.
Yes, we're taking it very seriously, but we're having fun.
Yes. It's fun and serious can go together at the same time. It's fun to do good work in this line of work.
Yes.
So we enjoy it.
Yeah. Big thanks to all of you tuning in. We are going to be back on Friday night, your round 2 recap. Sunday night, I've got more surprises in store. I'm always pulling surprises out of my pockets and figuring out what's going on. So I've got more surprises in store for this week. But for now, big thanks, producer Mina. She has done all the hard work behind the scenes. I was furiously texting her updates all day, and she has rocked and rolled, not just today, but all days. That is Greg DuCharme. He is the real GFD in the flesh, in real flesh. Yes, the real GFD. I'm Rick Run Good. This has been The Second Cut. We'll catch you next time.